All right, welcome to Millionaire Master Plan, Chapter 1. I trust you've done your online test. I'll link that below if you haven't. And we're going to start with your genius. You can see that. So we got the dynamo genius, the blaze genius, the tempo genius, and the steel genius. Okay, let's start. Try this little experiment. Fold your arms. Look whether you have folded your left arm over your right or your right arm over your left. Now do the opposite. Fold your right arm over your left and your left over your right. Does it feel comfortable? For most people it doesn't. For some even it is hard to do. It feels unnatural. That's because you're doing the wrong thing. It is not to say there's one right way to fold your arms. There's only your natural way. We're all born great at something, but we grow up, we find out all the things that we aren't so good at. So we spend our lives feeling bad about those things, working on our natural weaknesses, while we take our natural strengths for granted. This truth is no more tragic than in school children, where every child has a different genius, but they're all judged by the same test. Many lose their confidence, and with that the desire to learn. Why try to be something else when you're already naturally you? You are enough. When we become aware of our natural genius, it's like a light going on. Suddenly we realize we do not need to focus on our weaknesses to be successful. We simply need to follow the path that plays to our natural strengths. These are the four geniuses. Dynamo genius, who loves to create. Blaze genius, who loves to connect. Tempo genius, who loves to serve. And steel genius, who loves the details. When you've used the code, okay, don't worry about the code. We're gonna have, I'm gonna link the test. There's no code required anymore. Just check the link up below. The rules of the genius game. By rules, I mean each genius is like a sport you can become great at. If you know the game you're best suited for and the rules of that game, you can now focus on being the best at it. And here's the truth about sports. Sometimes the rules of one sport are the exact opposite of another sport. For example, if you're playing soccer, the rule is if you kick the ball, you can't pick it up. In basketball, the rule is you pick up the ball and you don't kick it. Similarly, if you're a blaze genius and you hold a job that doesn't feature much variety, one in which you sit at your desk all day, dealing with the details instead of getting out and connecting with people, you're guaranteed to be miserable, whether you're working on your own business or for somebody else. But if you are a steel genius and you're sent out to meet people every day, you're going to be equally as miserable. People, books, even you, yourself, may tell you to keep doing it because that's your job. But all you feel is stupid and want to escape the whole thing. I've seen people struggle to get out of debt because they've been told they need to keep track of every bill, and that isn't their genius's strength. They're trying to follow the rules for a game that isn't their natural game. When they discover the rules of their genius, they follow a different strategy that gets them out of debt easily. I've seen employees yearning to quit their jobs because they are struggling in an environment that is making them miserable. But they don't know how to replace the income with something they love. When they discover their genius, some suddenly see a path forward and have the courage to act, while others simply shift what they're doing in their job and suddenly live their life with a career on fast track. What's your genius? I'm a dynamo genius, a natural creator. I struggled when it came to managing my own detailed accounts. That's how I ended up negative cash flow and careless. Only by understanding my genius could I see a path forward that was natural to me, as you will hear in Chapter 3. And that's why I say your genius is your compass to navigate the Millionaire Master Plan. Understanding the four geniuses. The idea of these four geniuses dates back 5,000 years and connects to the four frequencies found in ancient Chinese and Indian thought. Aristotle and Plato identified them too, but while the ideas behind these geniuses may be ancient origin, they are being applied here in a completely new way, to the entrepreneurial spirit in your personal path of least resistance to wealth and success. As you will see in the tables that follow, each genius has a different way to reach fulfillment. Each has a different way to manage time and money, grow a network, and lead a team. Each genius has a winning and losing formula, and your winning formula is someone else's losing formula. Each genius also features a frequency you're strongest in and is part of a state of change, like the 4 seasons. Our genius connects to how we lead and love. It connects to how we communicate and how we market ourselves and our products or services differently. This is why one-size-fits-all books that insist you need to do it all and add that there's only one way will often contradict each other. They are like ineffective diets that force you to change who you are, as if a thinner you must be someone else, not simply a healthier version of you who you already are. Think of knowing your genius as the first step in customizing a diet for the perfect you. Of course, none of us is only one thing. We all have a little of each genius in us, but we all have more of one than others. Before you enter the Wealth Lighthouse, the first step to setting yourself free is to truly understand where the compass of each of these genius points and how they connect to each other. Okay. The Dynamo Genius. Idea Smart. I'll put it up real quick. You can pause the screen if you want to read it by yourself. Otherwise, I'll read through it in a second. But there you go. All right. Dynamo geniuses. Great at creation. Dynamos start and move things forward. They see the future more than anyone else. They succeed with their heads in the clouds and short attention spans. Not so great at finishing, timing, peripheral issues, paying attention. Teachers probably yelled at dynamos in class for not paying attention. Winning formula. Creating value through innovation. Dynamos have creativity, flair, and the ability to get things started. They grow. Losing formula. Consultation and relying on intuition. Dynamo genius is weakest at timing, service, and sensing others. In other words, acting like a steel genius. Opposite genius, tempo genius. Dynamo genius includes Richard Branson, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Michael Jackson, Beethoven, Thomas Edison, and Albert Einstein. All these people focus on the strength in creating. They ignored those who criticized them for not being organized or social enough. They didn't worry about the forgetful or missing the small things. They are all remembered today for their creative brilliance because they were best at answering the question, what? Next, Blaze geniuses. There you go. Push pause. Okay. Great at conversation and communication. Blazes are all about relationships, putting people first, and talking to those people and hearing their stories. They learn through talking and telling/hearing stories. Not so great at details. Blazes are weakest at analysis and detailed calculation. Winning formula. Creating leverage through magnification. Blazes ask the question, how can this only be done with me? They build their brand by growing their relationships. They magnify. Losing formula. Calculation. Blazes get stuck when they try to multiply growing through systems that work without them. Opposite steel genius. Blaze geniuses include Bill Clinton, Jack Welch, Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, and Larry King. All of these charismatic people focus on their strength in leadership and connections. They ignore those who criticize them for not focusing on the numbers or not planning enough. They never worried that they changed focus too often or didn't like being stuck in an office. They just got out there to make a difference through people with fun and variety because they were best at answering the question, who? Tempo geniuses. Senses smart. There you go. That should do it. Okay. Great at staying grounded, dealing with lots of activity, being very hands-on, and requiring testimonials and referrals. Don't expect a creative plan from tempo geniuses. Do expect them to do what needs to be done on time. Not so great at innovation, public speaking, strategic planning, and seeing the bigger picture. Winning formula, creating value through timing. Tempos don't need to create anything if they know when to buy, when to sell, when to act, and when to hold. Losing formula, creativity. Tempos are weakest when they try and innovate from a blank sheet, trying to create their way to success instead of using their natural senses. Opposite genius, dynamo genius. Tempo geniuses include Warren Buffett, George Soros, Woodrow Wilson, Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, and Michael Phelps. All of these people focused their strengths and their senses and perseverance. They ignored those who criticized them for not being more forceful or politically astute. They didn't worry that they liked being extra careful and wanted to take more time over things. They just stayed calm and grounded, taking their time because they were best at answering the question, when? Steal geniuses. Ideas smart. Or details smart, sorry. Great at calculation. Steals love handbooks, manuals, and reading through all the small print to understand and clarify all the information. Steals will take their time to get things right. They won't be rushed and be careful to create a system to build the flow. Not so great at small talk and constant communication. Winning formula, creating leverage through multiplication. Steals ask the question, how can this be done without me? Through systems they make things simple and make many and multiply. Losing formula, communication. Steals often suck the energy out of a dynamo. Their metal axes chop down a dynamo's wood, and too much contact with the blades can dull their sharp minds. Fire can melt metal. Opposite genius, blaze genius. Steal geniuses include famous entrepreneurs such as John D. Rockefeller, Henry Ford, Ray Kroc, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, and Mark Zuckerberg. All of these people focus on the strengths in the systems and in managing data. They ignored all those who criticized them for not having better social skills or being more sensitive. They didn't worry that they often liked being alone and often did their best work when locked away. They just kept focus on finding smarter ways to do things through the systems because they were best at answering the question, how? The key to wealth is flow. Understanding a genius helps you find the right books and role models. It'll give you clarity on what to say yes and no to. Most important, in part 2, you will see your genius is your path of least resistance to rise through the wealth lighthouse. It allows you to find your flow, not in a month or a year, right now, today. All living systems flow. Our bodies naturally flow, talent flows, product flows, information flows, so does wealth. And when flow crosses flow, wealth grows. Just think of this in terms of commerce. Ships were launched, lines of flow converged at ports on coasts and rivers, and capital cities grew. When roads and rails connected those ports, flows crossed and wealth grew. Today, the world's wealthiest people can be found where the greatest flow intersects. So, what does flow have to do with your genius and success? Everything! When you know your genius, you can get into your flow and then make that flow grow stronger. Think about the times in your life when everything has felt like hard work. These were the moments when you're focusing on your weaknesses and you're losing formula. Think about the times in your life when everything flowed with effortless ease. Here you were flowing with your natural genius and your winning formula. Now think about teaming up with geniuses with strengths and winning formulas that balance your weaknesses and losing formula. That's the key to getting in flow. In this way, your genius is not only compass, but also the flame of a candle. Too often we focus our energy on the wax of the candle and not the flame. When we focus on trying to get more wax, it is a zero-sum game. For me to have more wax means you have less wax. For one person to get richer means the other person has to get poorer. When we focus on the flame, however, our results become exponential. It costs a candle nothing to light another candle. As we light those around us, we realize we have lost nothing but our shadows. We realize that's the point of a candle. That's both the purpose we find and the fulfillment we feel as we rise up the wealth lighthouse. When you know the genius of your friends, your colleagues, your boss, and your family, you can appreciate them for what they are best at and bring out the best in them. As for the things you're not so great at, there are geniuses to support you who have strength where you are weakest. Flow is not just about what you hold on to, but is also what you let go of. A year and a half after my car was repossessed, I had another quantum leap when I first grasped this key concept. This one was $1 million quantum leap. I had become cash positive, but as a dynamo genius, I was struggling to manage the day-to-day operations of my business. I didn't want to have to keep on meeting people and selling ad space every day. I wanted to be innovating and using my creativity more. That's when my friend Patrick dropped by and casually said, "I'm going to get to $1 million." Patrick was a real estate agent and had a successful business in the past. He said the $1 million would be for a new startup he was planning on launching. At the time, my business was scraping along, making about $30,000 in sales each month. I was taking a salary that just covered our rent and basic expenses. But at least my stressed business was a real business compared to Patrick's startup idea. How could he possibly raise $1 million? I simply did not believe him. When Patrick urged me to do the same, I ignored him. I was too busy working to take him seriously. In fact, the speed at which I dismissed him was almost as blinding as the speed at which I fell off my chair less than 6 weeks later when he came back with that $1 million check. It turned out that Patrick had read in the newspaper that a local angel investor was investing in promising new high-tech businesses by writing checks for $1 million. Patrick's plan had been to meet the investor, find out what kind of businesses would be perfect for his business to invest in, and then put together a plan to launch his startup as exactly the kind of business. His strategy had been the right one. Find the investors you want to work with and understand the criteria they use to make their investments. I remember the day Patrick got his check. I went home and thought I had been doing it all wrong. There were trillions of dollars flowing around me each day, like water flowing through rivers. I'd been digging in a desert. How would I ever tap into flow doing that? I would never raise the money to grow my business and pay myself by relying on my creativity alone. If I could use my dynamo genius strengths to do what my friend Patrick, who was also a dynamo genius, had done to secure his venture capital, surely I could tap into this flow of wealth as well. I had made a commitment to myself to go, and to give it a go. My first challenge was my time. I had been managing my business myself because I had been using the excuse that I couldn't afford anyone to help me. With this new commitment, I asked myself an essential question. How can I afford someone better than me by paying him later? I looked for a publishing professional who could help me manage my business. That's when I found Peter Watkins, a blaze genius and a publishing veteran 10 years my senior, working in a large publishing company. I told Peter about my plan to raise capital for a business. I asked if he would be willing to take a leap of faith and become my general manager of my business at a fraction of his current pay. I used my dynamo genius to show him a plan where I could raise the money to take us to the next level of growth, while he used his blaze genius to manage the business and improve what I had started. Together, we could share in a company with more resources and better prospects than each of us had today. His blaze energy made the most of my dynamo energy and allowed us both to achieve more than we could on our own. Peter joined my company and freed up my time. Within a month, with a plan in hand, I was knocking on the doors of venture capital firms, and within 3 months, I got a $3 million commitment from the firm 3i. It was the biggest check I've ever seen. I remember photocopying it and then pinning it on the wall. I remember thinking how hard I had been working just 3 months earlier, when I had been working against my natural genius, trying to push water uphill instead of going with the flow. It was, of course, not as easy as I'm making it sound. That level of detail is for the next part of the book. Even so, it surprised me how quickly I went from my day-to-day activity of meeting clients and selling magazines with thousands of dollars in flow to meeting investors and selling part of my business with $1 million in flow. It was not how hard I was working that changed. It was the level of flow around me that changed. This is even true in our personal relationships. My wife, Renata, is a tempo genius. We are opposites. We have been married for more than 20 years, but our first years together, we didn't realize our geniuses lay in those differences. I would always wonder why she wasn't willing to take greater risks. She was always wondering why I kept starting new things. These differences would often lead to arguments as we judged each other by our own natural tendencies. When we became aware of our opposite geniuses, we came to appreciate and understand each other. We realized we were trying to take each other out of our own flow. Renata now lets me have my crazy inventor moments, and I know she needs time to process new information, so I won't put her on the spot or ask her for any immediate decision on things. We both support each other to stay in flow. The fifth frequency. There's a fifth frequency that links the four geniuses into a learning cycle. This fifth frequency is what Aristotle called the first mover, or the source to the rest. This is water energy, which is the basis of flow. The 5 frequencies form a cycle that begins and ends in water. Every project, business, industry, and country goes through these frequencies as a cycle from creation to completion to creation again. You are currently going through this natural cycle with each relationships you have and each journey you embark on. It is your entrepreneurial spirit. It is the beginning of every cycle. It is the question why that leads to the questions asked by each of the other frequencies. What? By dynamo. Who? By blaze. When? By tempo. And how? Steel. We will see this learning cycle appear together with the geniuses and at every one of the steps within the Wealth Lighthouse. So to recap, Dynamo geniuses are idea smart. Blaze geniuses are people smart. Tempo geniuses are senses smart. And steel geniuses are detail smart. Flow is the key to wealth. The more we follow our genius and grow our flow, the more wealth we create. Okay, that's it for chapter 1. And each chapter I think is followed by an action point, which is only a couple pages, and then that'll be it for today. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Should be pretty quick. Creating your future vision. So hopefully that is intriguing and inspiring at the end of this. And we were talking about the journaling, the scribing. So this would be a great place to put in your journal like this. You put it in there, put it in now, your future vision, and then you come revisit it at the end of the year or every month or every quarter. So perfect cross-pollination of ideas here. So let's get to it. Action point. Create your future vision and flight path. Think it, ink it, do it, review it. Oh, well, there it is. To get direction, you need to be clear on not only where you are, but where you are going. That's why you need to create a clear future vision. So why is it so few people have one? I have too many problems today to think about where I'll be going tomorrow. I don't want to disappoint myself by dreaming of something that won't happen. I need more clarity before deciding on which way to go. In my mentoring, I often heard excuses like these. But the failure to set a clear destination is the trigger to every stress and uncertainty we face. The compass of your genius and the map of the wealth lighthouse won't help you if you don't know where you want to go. Your future vision defines your destination and paints a picture of your perfect life in the coming year. Imagine it as creating your masterpiece. Once you have set your future vision, you set your flight path through it with quarterly milestones. Between them and your Millionaire Master Plan test results, you will have a clear picture of where you are and where you're going during the next year. Create your future vision. Your future vision is more than just setting goals, more than just visualization. It is about creating a holistic blueprint of what you believe your life will grow into next year, and an immediate future in your control. Plan a future vision that stretches you and excites you, but not so much that you won't believe it's possible. According to Napoleon Hill, everyone knows Napoleon Hill, this was a big part of the secret of America's first billionaires and greatest entrepreneurs he interviewed in Think and Grow Rich: Andrew Carnegie, Thomas Edison, Alexander Graham Bell, Henry Ford, John D. Rockefeller. Hill discovered that all of them had one thing in common: an unwavering belief in the future reality that they were creating. It wasn't a matter of whether it would happen, it was a matter of when. I started my first future vision the night my car was repossessed. I had written one every year since. I write it in my journal, there's the journal again, and make it very specific using the powers of hindsight and gratitude. Here's how. Hindsight, or this way, I don't know which way. Imagine yourself 1 year in the future and write a journal entry as your future self, looking back at the last year, beginning with, in the last year I have. Imagine yourself already at your destination, looking back. It is far easier than trying to look forward. Gratitude, or that one. In looking back, I do not write the lines of, I feel so successful and accomplished because I have achieved. Instead, I write with an energy powered by gratitude. I am so grateful for the last year. In the last year, I have. With hindsight and gratitude, you will feel fulfilled and energized simply by writing your future vision. Don't skip ahead. Do it now. Throw yourself fully into this exercise. Give yourself a good 30 minutes to an hour. Begin with a date a year from today and write your journal entry. Use the prompts I've given below and include all aspects of your life. How do you want each area of your life to look 1 year from today? Add extra paragraphs to include other important areas of life that you think about. Be as specific as you can and share the story of how you got there from where you are today to where you will be. Your entire journal entry can be 2 or 10 pages. When you have completed it, ask yourself if it inspires you. If not, ask what you need to add. Once complete, post a copy where it will be visible to you throughout the coming year. This is your destination for the next 12 months. So here are, you can push pause, and then up here again, the last 3, push pause. Okay. I'll read through them as well in case you're just listening, and you can come back and write them down later. First, you put the date. Then you start with, I am so grateful for the last year. Followed by, in the last year, I have blank. My personal cash flow has blank. My assets have blank. My time has blank. My job/business has blank. My team has blank. My customers have blank. My partners have blank. My health has blank. My family has blank. My friends have blank. My sense of purpose has blank. My contribution has blank. My upcoming year will blank. So those are the things that you should be writing about. And then the next is setting your flight path. The second step after creating your 1-year future vision is to break it into quarterly milestones. This helps you pace yourself and keep on track. I have quarterly milestones for my life and for each of my businesses. This is a simple format you can use to divide your future vision into quarterly milestones. What did you set as a monthly income you want to have in a year's time? Divide the increase into 4. What does that mean you already want your monthly income to be in the 3 months from now, 6 months from now? Look at what you have said you'll be doing with your time in 12 months. If you're already a quarter of the way there in 3 months, what would be different? What would it look like 6 months from now? Don't worry yet about how you will achieve these goals. Focus on what and when. I've provided you with a free flight path and a weekly score tracker on your personal page. Fill it out and set a time every week to check your progress. I recommend setting aside Sunday evening after dinner to sit down for an hour and review your progress and preview the week ahead against your overall flight path. That's what I've done for the last 25 years. And this rhythm for success is now as natural as eating and sleeping. I call these my score sessions, which plays on the 3 definitions of the word score. Composition, like a musical score, is a way to see my masterpiece on paper. Measurement of my progress, like a numeric score. And groove, like scoring a piece of wood to make a deep impression each week. If you're not sure how to design your score session, you will see that I have provided you with a personal guide to running your score session successfully on your personal page. Set your score session now, put it in your diary, and commit to it. Enjoy the progress. And next is chapter 2. So that should give you some time to complete our tasks by filling in your journal entry with 2 to 10 pages of writing, plus breaking down what you want to achieve in 12 months' time into quarterly goals. And then also look at the stuff that was sent from this Genius U, I think it was called U Genius or something. See what they can offer you to keep you on track. Anyway, that's it for today's reading. I hope it was insightful, and it will maybe even break you out of your funk and think about starting a new business or getting better at your own job or focusing on different things in at your corporation where you're working. Maybe where you're sitting, ask your boss, hey, I need to be able to be doing these things in order to excel at my career. Give me a chance. You have to come out in life with your hands out so people know that you want help. Sometimes they just see you there and like, oh, he's happy just at his desk and plugging away at the computer and not talking to anybody for the 48 weeks a year or whatever, how many vacation days you have. But think about it as nobody knows to help you if you never ask for help. So start this, get to it. I am a tempo genius. My wife is a blaze genius, and my toddler, I have no idea. But anyway, so that's how I'm starting my framework, is how do I use my creativity and my ideas and pushing myself to actually finish and finalize, because there's no reason for me not to implement all these ideas I have. And that's one of the reasons I'm actually doing this, which I'm glad the Miracle Morning is pushing me. So these things are working in conjunction to hopefully make me a more disciplined person, because just because you can say something or do something, until you take action, is completely meaningless. Okay, that's half an hour of me reading and talking, and for a lot for you to think about. So we'll come back tomorrow, or I guess whenever you want to push play, and we can read more together. And if not, I'll see you next time. Ta-ta.